Welcome back to another video. This one's going to be a little bit shorter because all we're going to do is just add a windows and doors to this whole thing. So we're going to be able to place in doors and place in windows. Right now they're not going to be functioning. We're going to sort that in the next couple of videos. But yeah, let's get started. Let's start off by creating the actors that we can place in their positions. So for that, what I'm going to do is just go ahead and I'm going to duplicate the wall since it doesn't have any other instances added to that. And I'm going to call this build door. I'm duplicating the wall essentially because it is the smallest one code-wise. It doesn't have any code other than return boxes is empty. It only has the set mesh node, and that's all that it has in it. So essentially I want a empty actor which I can then just replace the mesh for. So I need the door mesh. Let's go ahead, let's use the door that I have over here, and I'm just gonna simply delete the code that this thing has, and that's basically all. So for now that's gonna be good enough. Let's duplicate this once more, and I'm gonna make this into a build window. Let's open that one up. For this one, well, we have two options. If we don't want the windows to be openable in the future, we can just use the which one was it? Window. So we have the glass. So we have the window. So we have this double one. So this is if we don't want to use this in the future, but I will want to open up my windows. So I'm going to have two of these ones. But the issue with this is that this static mesh component, we're not going to be really able to move this only if we move the entire actor. I don't want to move the entire actor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add two more static meshes to this. I'm going to duplicate both of those, and for both of them I'm gonna add the window mesh like this. Now for this one, I'm gonna remove this. I picked the wrong window again. I need the windows, this one. There we go. So we have one window and we have the other window. Now the pivot point is over here. As you can see, that is the middle position. So select the first static mesh. Remember the position. So this is the 0, 0. So one of the windows can go to the other side like this. There we go. So now that is the middle position. Now for the other window, we want to rotate this the other way around. And we want to move this out again. We want the 0 position to, we want the connection point kind of like, so between the two windows, that's where the 0 point should be. So that later on we can rotate these like so. There we go. So we have two of those over here. Everything seems to be just fine. Let's go ahead and let's implement these into our building system. So for that, let's go ahead, let's open up our project settings real quick. We need to add some more trace channels. So we need to select our collision and we need to add some trace channels. So we will have a door trace and we will also have a window trace. There we go. So that's good. Now that we have done that, let's go ahead and we need to open up all of our previous buildables. We need to select their collision boxes because we added more trace channels and by default they will be blocked. So as you can see, the door and the window are blocked. We don't want to block those. So go ahead and ignore those. So once we have done that, let's do the same thing for our floor. Let's ignore the door and window traces, and it's now good the way it was before, so it's not gonna collide with these trace channels. So now we need to add these buildables to our system. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and look at the database, not the component, the buildables database, and add a couple of new entries. So the first one is gonna be the door, the static mesh is gonna be the door, and the trace channel is going to be the door trace, and the actor is going to be the build door. Now I'm going to duplicate this, and this is going to be the window. The mesh is going to be the window. So this single one, I'm going to check out to see how it fits. I might to bring this into the modeling software and reorder the pivot point, but we're going to use the window trace, and the channel is going to be the build, the actor is going to be the build window. So That is all ready to go. Now we actually need to provide these collision boxes. So for those, we need to open up our build wall. Now, just for the visual purpose alone, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this mesh to be a different wall. So I'm going to have like a wall window for now. There we go. We have this. Now let's go ahead and let's add ourselves a box collision. So we have our box collision. I'm going to make this a little bit thinner. We actually can use just 1 pixel. That's going to be good enough. Now, we can leave this one here for the door. So essentially what we could do is just simply make this higher. Something roughly like this. And roughly like that. So 80 by, let's say, like 180. So that's going to be good enough. Let's rename this to door. And let's select this box and let's make sure that we, again, for the collision settings, we change this to custom. We ignore everything except for the door trace for this one. So again, just like I mentioned previously, don't change the locations too much. If you'll see that your doors are off, maybe they're too high or too low, then that means that you need to change the location for this. I'm assuming that my door might be a little bit too low because I have this piece right here. So if I change this to wall door, I have this piece right here. So I'm assuming that my door will be a little bit too low. So I will just simply move it up a little bit like so. And one more issue that I might face is that the pivot points might be off. So if I would add a static mesh, let's make sure it's in the same hierarchy as the box. So this is 0, 0, 0. And if I add my door, as you can see, it's gonna be off. And that's a problem. So what I'm gonna do is select both of these now while they both are in the 0x, 0y. And I'm gonna move it outwards like this. So now this is the position where the collision box should be. Now, again, we're having an issue that the box is gonna be a little bit off. So what we are going to do, the detection area is going to be a little bit off. So I'm going to extend this even higher. But make sure you don't go outside of the model itself too much. Shouldn't be like too big of an issue, but it's usually better to keep it within the bounds. So now, yeah, this is going to be good enough. So we can save that, and that's where it's going to place the door. Now, one more issue that I'm noticing is that this thing right here, this is the 0 rotation for that. So what I might have to do is swap these two values around. So this is 135 and 1. What I would have to do is set this to 1 to 135 and then rotate this like so to give it the correct rotation. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we will have to bring this back, but I'm thinking that is the way it could be. So now the next one, I'm going to bring this back to 0 in the X, 0 in the Z rotation, back to the default values, and I'm going to replace this with a window. Windows. Window, this one. Okay, so let's again add a box collision. Make sure this is in the same hierarchy. So bring it, drag it on top of your master component, well, the main component. And I'm going to rename this to be the window. And now this one, again, I can see the rotation is off slightly. So I might have to adjust this as well. So what I'm going to do is instantly just rotate this way. Also, I'm going to replace this to the wall window so I can align this properly. Select both of these, move these up until the window meets its correct position. So this is the one that it should have, I'm assuming. Maybe 1 unit lower. Yeah, there we go. So that's better. And now let's again extend the box. So this is not the correct one. So let's say this like 100, this to 1. And the Z, let's bring it up. But I don't want to bring it outside too much. So like 135. There we go. So that will fit the majority of the window and it's going to be just fine. So I'm going to remove the static mesh now and set the window collisions to again have the custom. ignore everything except for the window trace channel. And now we got to return these two boxes through our return boxes interface function. So let's make an array, 2 entries, and let's output both of these, 1 and 2. There we go. So let's hit play and let's have a look. So let's place down this guy. Let's place down a wall and a door. Now, there we go. We have a door. And we have a window. There we go. So that's functioning just fine. It looks pretty good. Looks the way it should be. The doors are not going to be functioning within this video, but we're going to make sure that they are within the next couple of videos. We're going to make both of these functioning as well. Now, one thing that I noticed and I forgot to change is like we can still snap to these locations, as you can see. And well, that is not pretty cool because, well, then we can do some stuff like this, or even like this, and then it's just glitchy, and I don't think it's a good idea to allow building there. So let's forbid building there, and that's a very simple fix. We just got to change the collision box thickness, I guess that's what it's called. So select your foundation, select your walls, select all of them, scroll up, and here we go. We have the box extent, and the y-axis is set to 32, and this is the y-axis for them. So it's very big, and the actual model itself is not big enough. So the model is inside of this, but the collision box is extended outwards, so we're still able to collide with this. So let's just change the y, it's just 1, and this is going to be good. Now it's no longer going to allow us to do that. And so now we can do the same thing for our floor. Change the box extent y to just 1. And now this is going to be a lot better. So now if we try this again, there we go. That's a lot better. Obviously, it still allows us to build this in front of it, right? We can do something like this, but we're no longer really able to build inside of it as easily. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. We added some windows and some doors. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I see you in the next one.